In the mountains of Thessaly, in northern Greece, at an altitude of 600 meters atop rocky cliffs, lie the Orthodox monasteries that form the second most important center of monastic life in Greece after Mount Athos. These monasteries are called Meteora, meaning floating in the air. According to tradition, the first hermitage, Holy Spirit, was founded by a hermit named Barnabas in the mid-10th century. In 1020, the Cretan monk Andronikos established the Hermitage of the Transfiguration, and in 1160 another monastery was built, marking the beginning of the organized monastic community of Meteora. Throughout history, according to various sources, there were 24 monasteries, along with numerous solitary cells, chapels, hermitages, caves, retreats, and pillars scattered across the Meteora Mountains. Some of the monasteries have been preserved as ruins. Only 6 monasteries remain today, 4 for men, the Transfiguration of the Lord, All Saints, St. Nicholas, and Holy Trinity, and 2 for women, St. Barbara and St. Stephen. The first of these is the Monastery of the Transfiguration of the Lord, or the Great Meteoron Monastery, the largest of the Orthodox monasteries, founded in the early 14th century. The monastery is located at the top of a cliff, and to reach the summit, one must climb 154 steps. The monastic complex consists of several buildings, the main one being the Cathedral of the Transfiguration of the Lord. Nearby are the altar, a hospital, the chapels of John the Baptist and Saints Constantine and Helen, as well as the monks' cells. The monastery has preserved an iconostasis and wall frescoes. I provide an image of one of the frescoes depicting Christ in royal robes, seated on a throne, with the Virgin Mary kneeling before him in prayer, holding a scroll in her hands. The men's monastery of Varlam, dedicated to All Saints, was founded in the mid-14th century by a monk named Varlam. However, the All Saints Cathedral, which gave the monastery its name, was built 200 years later, in the mid-16th century. The monastic complex, in addition to the All Saints Church, includes a hospital, a balcony tower, the chapel of the 3 hierarchs, and the altar, which has now been transformed into a museum of the monastery's treasures. The monastery of St. Nicholas Anapausas is located on a very steep cliff. To visit this monastery, one must first climb 143 steps to the base of the rock where the temple is located, and then ascend 85 steps carved into the rock. Since the rock on which the church stands has a limited area suitable for construction, all the monastery buildings were developed vertically. On the first level is the chapel of St. Anthony. On the second level is the church of St. Nicholas, built back in the 16th century, and finally on the third level are the monk cells, the old dining hall, and the small church of St. John the Baptist. The last men's monastery is dedicated to the Holy Trinity. The monastery complex includes a cathedral, a chapel, a balcony tower, an altar, and monks' cells. This monastery was founded in the 15th century. The Holy Trinity Cathedral, adorned with numerous frescoes, is considered a true gem. The women's monastery of Rusanu, or St. Barbara, was founded in the 16th century. Like the monastery of St. Nicholas, this monastery complex is situated on a very limited area. So from afar it appears as though there is only one building, and only the dome of the church is visible. And finally, the last women's monastery is named after St. Stephen. In addition to the old cathedral of St. Stephen, a new cathedral dedicated to St. Charalambos was built in the 18th century. St. Charalambos is considered the second patron saint of the monastery. Besides the cathedrals, monk cells, a hearth, and an altar have been preserved, and the altar now houses a museum. For a long time, monks and visitors could access the monasteries only via hanging wooden ladders, or with the help of other monks, who lifted them up in special nets. In the same way, all the building materials for the monastery structures, food supplies, and other necessary items for monastic life were hoisted up the cliffs. In the 1920s, roads were built to the monasteries, and stone steps were made for climbing. With this, I conclude my story about the floating in the air monasteries of Meteora. Goodbye.